This holiday season, enter a magical world.
Who's that?
And meet one cool cat who knows a thing or two about having fun. From the producer of The Grinch.
Let the 12-year-old cry!
This is awesome!
Stop this right now!
The fish is talking.
But is he saying anything? No.
Mike Myers.
Hairball.
The Cat in the Hat. Rated PG. At theaters November 21st.
Welcome back to another episode of Front Row Cinema, a movie podcast for movie lovers by movie lovers. I'm your host, teacher Trimboli, and with me, as always, I've actually got multiple co-hosts in the house tonight. I got Thing 1 and Thing 2, Mr. James O'Reilly and Mr. James O'Reilly.
You know what? I'll take it, as long as I'm not the cat.
That's fair. I'll play the cat today. Oh, yeah. And each week we take a look at my 1,000 movies I've seen in theaters, and we see how well it's aged along with the hype surrounding the film, its box office analysis, and legacy in the film industry. So if you enjoy this kind of content, hit that sub button on YouTube, leave that 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's how you help the channel grow. Jim, what are we watching tonight?
We're watching The Cat in the Hat, man.
That's right.
The movie that I think you mentioned ended Dr. Seuss movies for a long time.
And I think
because his wife was like, no mas.
Fittingly, they decided, you know what? Maybe we pump the brakes on these bad boys. But yeah, we're watching 2003 comedy fever dream that is known as Cat in the Hat. Directed by Bo Welch, written by Alec Berg, David Mandel, and Jeff Schaffer, and starring Mike Myers, Dakota Fanning, and Alec Baldwin. I think the craziest thing, just to start right off the gate here, Jim, is that this is written by 3 of the writers that work with Larry David all the time in writing many Seinfeld episodes and many Curb Your Enthusiasm episodes.
Yeah, Alec Berg he's like a comedy like bigwig and for television at least for sure.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane that they sat down and were like, we need another doc. The Grinch was a hit. We need another one. Who do we tap to write the Cat in the Hat? And they're like, I got it. The writers of Seinfeld. It's like,
Yeah. I mean, dude, forget about Seinfeld. Alec Berg, didn't he also do Barry?
did he? I don't know. I've never.
Yeah, he worked with Bill Hader on Barry, and then he also did that show Silicon Valley. He was like
Yeah, but
the
all
big
that
buck
was
cat.
after. That's all post Cat in the Hat, Jim.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's like a weird thing for a guy who's had like a very successful career that's spanned like many decades. And then there's just like this movie in there.
And then they just sprinkled a little Cat in the Hat in there also.
By the way,
Another.
don't take away Dr. Seuss's writing credit either. He got a credit on this movie.
Did you really? Dear God.
Yeah.
That poor bastard. Even in his grave, they can't let him rest. Another notable crazy thing is who put a gun to Brian Grazer's head and was like, you got to produce this.
Well, no. So like I think it's interesting context when you look back at our last episode on the Grinch, because that was like the big thing was like Brian Grazer and Ron Howard were the ones who like convinced them to make Dr. Seuss movies. You know what I mean? Like it was like a big thing, and they pushed for the Grinch, and it was a huge success just a couple of years ago, right? So like this is, I think, their next at bat in that kind of timeline, and it goes south.
Yeah, and I can't think of 2 polar opposite types of movies. Like the Grinch, very warm-hearted, like yes, the Grinch has an edge to him, but there's still like a very like whimsicalness about the Grinch. Whereas this movie, like from start to finish, feels like they were like, I don't give a crap about kids whatsoever. We're gonna make this as insane as possible, but still market it to children.
Yeah, I can see where the Grinch does a similar thing. It just feels like it walks that line so much better, I guess is how I would put it. Like they definitely missed the mark on this one.
At no point do I feel like anybody stopped while making this movie and went, we're making this for kids, right? This is for children, in fact.
It's- I mean, yeah, it's but like you could say a lot of the same things about that Grinch movie, and just somehow it lands on the right side of the line. I don't
I
know if
think
it's by
because
anything other than sheer luck.
I think they keep it a bit more subtle. in The Grinch because I do remember, we had some jokes where it was like the his moms are like a swinger, a bunch of swingers, but like a lot of those jokes would go over regular kids' heads. And there's nothing, I would say that there's nothing as baseless in The Grinch as in The Cat in the Hat, where the cat would grab a hoe tool and be like, I hate you. I'm just kidding, baby. I love you. And pretend like the tool is like an actual hoe. Like,
Yeah, it's
there's
definitely
nothing to
weird.
that level sprinkled in
But
The
like
Grinch.
there isn't anything to that level, you're right. But it's also not necessarily as subtle as the swingers party every time in The Grinch either. Like when Cindy Lou Who is doing those interviews and the mayor's wife is just like so longingly thinking about the Grinch, like I don't know if kids like would fill in the blanks the same way that we would, but they get it. You know what I mean? Like they know like what's going on there. It's not like a mystery, I don't think.
It's just
So,
very,
but you're right though. The whole like dirty hoe thing is like a much different level. Like they don't do anything quite like that.
yeah, I feel like in this one, it's a lot more beating you over the head. One last note of somebody who worked on this movie that is way above this movie. The director of photography, I'm going to butcher his name, Emmanuel Lubezki, director of photography
Okay.
on this movie. This man would go on to win Best Cinematography at the Academy Awards 3 years in a row for Gravity, Birdman, and The Revenant. And then he's also
Wow.
got the Cat in the Hat under his belt.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Very,
Interesting. I like, kind of want to go back and look at it through that lens because
very
I
interesting.
don't know if any of the like the art really stands out to me. Like,
So that is just some hard bona fides for people working behind this movie. So you would think that this movie should be a slam dunk. You've got a huge producer. You've got the three of the most talented writers on Seinfeld. You've got a director of photography who is going to go on to be like one of the biggest cinematographers like in the game. Like you got Universal Studios backing you up. You got Mike Myers, a comedy mastermind. You got Dakota Fanning, up and coming. This movie should be a slam dunk.
dude, by the way, how dare you leave out the superior Breslin,
And
Spencer Breslin?
I'm leaving him all the way out, Jim. Where is he today? Where's Breslin been hanging around?
I mean, he's enjoying retirement after an incredibly successful career as a child actor. What do you want him to do? I
Has
mean,
he
there's
done?
only so many Santa Claus 2s that you can make before you
Oh,
gotta like start doing something else with your life, you know? It's like you can only hit a home run so many times.
it's true. He's just hanging out on a beachfront property somewhere, just enjoying his time. We got the DVD cover here. We turn our attention to the back for our lovely log line, and it reads. Grab a place on the couch or go find a seat, for you're in for a wonderful Dr. Seuss treat. The cat in the hat who goes by that name is played by Mike Myers of comedy fame. It starts with two kids on a cold, wet day. Their mom is at work and they've no games to play. Then in walks the fun in the form of a cat who pulls out the last from the brim of his hat. Things really get wild when the cat and his crew, who go by the names of Thing 1 and Thing 2, take over the house of Conrad and Sally in this fine family film that's right up your alley.
I hate it so much. Like,
Jim,
I
you hate it.
really
That
just
actually
feel
wasn't the
bad.
log line. I just made that up on the spot. You hate my rhymes.
I hate it even more now, yeah. No, but I'm just picturing like the guy who writes the blurbs like gets that email and he's like, "Ah, come on." Like
Right? It's
it's
like,
like can't I
motherfucker.
just like phone it in like I do every other time? Like I gotta like write a Dr. Seuss DVD blurb.
Right? He's just sitting at home. He's, I don't get paid for this shit.
Yeah, right, exactly. Either that or it's like the only fun he's had at work in the last like 20 years. You
He's
know
like,
what I mean?
finally, my time to shine. Finally, a man known as Faramir to show his quality.
He holds a grudge against Mike Myers to this day because they
He'll
never
never,
made another Dr. Seuss movie after this.
he's never had to have any more whimsy since that day. Did you see this movie in theaters?
No, no.
You lucky bastard.
This was one I think I like probably benefited from being like too cool for school as a teenager because we're getting to that age now, right? We're like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, we're right on the cusp of going right. This is fall of 2003, so we're in high school now. We're in ninth grade,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And so I
yeah.
mean, like, look, broken clocks right twice a day. You know, I was just like, I'm way too cool to see Cat in the Hat, and I really dodged a bullet.
You were right because this was I definitely felt this back then, and I still feel it today. This was actually a double feature that me and Zach went to. I'll hold off on the second movie because we'll be getting to that movie soon
Yeah,
enough.
we'll have to do it at some point.
Yeah, we do have a few in between it, simply because of the way the numbers shake out. You got your pick coming up, so we have a minute before we get to that second one. So I'll save what the second one is for that. But it's a doozy of a double feature. And I will say to that, we saw the Cat in the Hat second. And when you hear what movie we saw first, you will be like, on what fucking planet did you then decide to go? It would be a good idea to go watch the Cat in the Hat after that.
Interesting. Is it? I'm assuming it's gonna be like a big like drama.
Yeah, it is a movie that you would, after seeing that movie, would think you'd want to take some time to like contextualize and decompress from what you just watched. And instead we were like, nah, dude, now it's time for Cat in the Hat.
Yes.
Like we're
Instead, we're
primed,
like,
we're
let's
primed
watch the
now.
most mindless thing we
Yeah.
can think of.
Now we're ready. It's time for some Cat in the Hat. And we went and saw it. And I remember hating this movie from the get-go. Even back then, I was not in on this movie. And I never watched it again since seeing it in theater. So this is the first watch since that day in 2003. So I was interested to see if I would still hate this movie or if I would think it was a bit better because it's interesting, Jim, that in all the times that this movie's come out, it is something of a cult classic now. As I was looking at reviews and everything, this is a movie that has taken on the cult classic form for a lot of people. And I'm baffled as to how that came about.
Yeah, I'm honestly pretty surprised. Uh, that's wild. I hadn't even seen that anywhere. I'm interested to see what those circles are like. I described this movie to my girlfriend like that it was like one long episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. So like I feel like maybe that's kind of where we landed a little bit with cult classic territory because like he literally the cat is like a drag queen a lot. Like
Yeah, yeah, very, very much so in a lot of scenes. Did she like the movie when she watched it with you, or
I
did she
think
even
so,
make it?
yeah. She
Oh,
seemed
she
to
made it.
enjoy it.
She made it
This
through
was
the
one that
whole.
she like made a point to say she wanted to watch together too.
Ooh. Yeah, Heather also was like, I want to watch this one with you because I haven't seen it in a while. And within 5 minutes, she was like, I don't know what I was thinking, and she left.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like her speed. It doesn't seem like something she would enjoy.
Which, God, I just wish I could have been like her and also been like, yeah, I'm out of here too. But I might then suffered through another 70 minutes.
It's this is actually like the second time I've watched this like in the last 6 months too.
Oh my
Like,
God,
yeah.
what are you
Which
doing?
I think it hurt. Like if I had watched it just once and hadn't seen it in like 20 years, I think I really would have enjoyed this because I did kind of enjoy it more the first time. And then I watched it for this and I was just kind of over it.
Diminishing returns are hard. And they reflected in the box office because you don't become a cult classic without completely bombing at the box office. So let's dive into some numbers, Jim, and see how this turd landed.
Numbers, dates, numbers, numbers, dates. Hooray. Dates, numbers. Show me the money.
All right. So like it's slowly becoming my favorite part of this to look at the budgets of movies because it really does just blow my mind what they decide to spend so much money on. This movie had a budget of $109 million,
That's
which is
just
like
that's absolutely absurd.
it's insane. And like on the one hand, I get it. Like
I
you
mean, yeah,
did have a lot of success with The Grinch.
yeah,
This is like kind of spiritually like a sequel. You're saying I had a lot of success with this movie. The Cat in the Hat is like the ultimate Dr. Seuss story. It's like that and like Green Eggs and Ham, which I'm pretty sure the Cat in the Hat's in Green Eggs and Ham too, right? Isn't he?
I don't
I
know.
don't know. I'm sorry. We're veering too much into Dr. Seuss lore.
Asking me to hit on my Dr. Seuss lore, like I'm not that deep in,
Like,
Jim.
so on the one hand, I get it. Like you're saying, well, cool. Like this movie's like got success built into it. So let's spend a lot of money making it look like really Seussical.
I
Um,
guess because you see it in the production value, it does look like they took the time
to spend that money there. Because how much could Mike Myers possibly have cost to do this role, right? Like, what do you think
Yeah,
they
I
gave him?
mean,
20
I don't
mil?
know. He probably got like a pretty good salary, but I would
Yeah.
imagine it's not like it wouldn't have been more than like 5 million is just
I
like
hope
my gut feeling.
I hope he didn't take points on the back end.
Yeah, you never take points on the back
You
end.
never
That's
take points
crazy
on the
talk.
back, especially on something untested. You never do it. It's a bold
But
move.
like, so on the one hand, I can get the $109 million budget, and then on the other hand, I really just am baffled by the fact that nobody saw like a early like
Out of
daily
this.
or a thing of the cat or like the concept of it, like maybe even just a drawing, and was like, "There's no way we're spending $100+ million making this movie. Like, just
Put
not
it down.
happening." So, so against the $109 million budget, it comes out the weekend of November 21st to the 23rd of 2003. So you're like, this is the week before Thanksgiving.
It's definitely trying to replicate the success of Grinch because I think the Grinch was the same weekend back in like 2000 was they were
Right.
trying to capitalize on that Thanksgiving.
Right, right. Which I think makes a lot more sense when you're making a movie about Christmas, but what do I know?
Not so much
Uh,
about the Cat in the Hat on a
yeah.
rainy afternoon for a party.
Yeah, but it also like it makes sense. Like this is like a landing for family movies, which again, this movie kind of isn't, but I don't know. So so it does open number one though with $38.3 million.
Not
Um,
against that budget, ain't looking good.
no, not looking great against that budget. And like it's also like amazing how much of its own little realm here it has. The only other two movies that are opening this weekend are Gothica, which comes in second with 19.3 million, and then some movie 21 Grams, which opens on 8 screens. Those are the next two like openers.
So it's
Um,
like, so it really had the runway all to itself. And a
right,
38
right.
ain't bringing in the heat. You're coming in for us on the 26th spot behind the Perfect Storm's 41 and just ahead of Armageddon's 36.
Yeah, which I mean, what was the Grinch at? Because I would bet you the Grinch wasn't too different from
The
that.
Grinch's opening was 55.1.
Okay, so it's actually a lot better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
a
better.
lot
Yeah,
better. And then it
the
also goes on
Grinch,
to have like better legs because
yeah,
it's a
much
good
better
movie.
legs. Yeah, the Grinch is for us is in the number 17 spot with 55. So way ahead.
But yeah, so I mean like 38.3 million, not great. And I mean, it's only going against Gothica, which if you're taking your kids to the movies, you're not taking them to see Gothica most likely.
I mean,
Elf's
who,
been
if
out for this
anyone's
is the
taking
third week of
kids,
Elf.
yeah,
Um, and like there's nothing else really in here that I think like Brother Bear's been out for 5 weeks, Looney Tunes is in its second week, and that movie was also a bomb. So it's like, it has like the run of kids movies here, unless you haven't taken your kids to see Elf already, right? So like not a hot start. Weekend two, it holds first place.
Holds first,
36.2% drop
dude.
down
Get
to
out of here.
24.5 million.
We have a
It beats
movie.
out an opening weekend here for Thanksgiving. It beats out the Haunted Mansion, which comes in second.
but dear God, they put that out then.
Yeah, they sure did.
Why would you
And
put
then
that out
Bad
for
Santa
Thanksgiving?
also comes out this week down in fifth with 12.5.
Dude, that blows my mind. Both times they've put out the Haunted Mansion, they were like, forget Halloween. The 2003 one they put out for Thanksgiving, the one that came out last year they put out in July. It's like, are you guys stupid?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I, I think that is pretty stupid. Yeah, I agree. I
But
agree.
like,
Especially the July one, because like
yeah,
I could see where it was like they put a lot of money into it. Because I did see that movie and I kind of thought it was like okay. Um, but by weekend three of The Cat in the Hat, the word is out, guys. This movie is not very good. It dropped
honestly,
70.8% down to 7.1 million,
dude, I'm
which is
honestly just flabbergasted it managed to hold number one 2 weeks in a row. Like that blows my mind.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. But I have a feeling that like some people had decided to see it, and then keep in mind its second week was Thanksgiving weekend too. So it's like another movie where you're taking like a lot of people are taking their kids to the movies sometime that weekend.
Dude.
But by weekend three, like I said, the word is out. People are over it. It's
Fool me
nobody's going to
once.
see it. It's not gonna get those sweet, sweet Grinch legs through the Christmas season, through December. It's all the way down in fifth place with 7.1 million.
God, write it
I
out.
am gonna take a
Get it out
stab
of
in the
there.
dark here. Did you see this opening weekend, Cat in the Hat?
No,
How far into it did you see it?
it was in December that I saw Cat in the Hat.
I am gonna take a stab here. I have two guesses. One of them seems a lot less likely, although it does fit the drama thing very well. And
Okay.
it's been in theaters for quite a while at this point.
Okay.
So it's a risky guess, but is it Mystic River?
Oh, no, I did not see Mystic River in theater.
Okay. Whew, thank God. Then I'm gonna guess it was The Last Samurai that you saw.
No, it wasn't. I did not see The Last Samurai in
Oh
theaters either.
man,
I
dude.
wish I saw I didn't get to see The Last Samurai until way later, and I kick myself every day that I didn't get to see that in theaters.
Wow. Okay, this is mind blowing. Now I'm like dying to know what else is in here that it could possibly be. But anyway, let's ride Cat in the Hat out of the top 10. I don't think
Out
we're
of
gonna
here.
be here very long. Weekend four, it is down in ninth place with
Oh,
4.2 million.
it ain't making another one. It
And
makes 5
weekend
weeks, I swear to
five,
God.
it's gonna be down in 11th place
Yeah.
with 4.3
See you
million.
later, you bastard. All right, so 4 weeks. That sounds about right. Joining other notable 4 weekers. Jimmy Neutron, Just Married, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Very deserving area.
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, it's honestly like pretty astonishing that it lasted 5 weeks, but that 70.8% drop is pretty sweet. I think that's like the highest one we've had.
So that's wild. Honestly,
Um,
I'm still flabbergasted that it won Thanksgiving weekend. Like that must have been one of the worst weekends like of all time for
well,
Thanksgiving.
the only other movie out there was Elf, and it was already like it had done a lot of its business in its first 2 weeks, you know?
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah,
has
that
legs, but it never has like big numbers, Elf. It's
yeah,
always
like
like
Elf wasn't
by
gonna
the
do like
third
another
week it's definitely
yeah,
beatable.
it wasn't gonna do like another 30 million that weekend. Like that wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah. But anyway, some totals. Domestic, it pulls in 101.1. Let's call it like point 0.2.
Yeah.
International 32.8 million for a worldwide total of 133 million, just like a little bit under 134 million.
Cheese and crow.
Just not
133
great.
against a 109 budget. That's a lovely spot right there. Gonna put you in the 41 spot behind the Rugrats movies, 140, and just ahead of Spy Kids 2, 119. And for some context, How the Grinch Stole Christmas finished at 345.1 million.
Right. So definitely a miss compared to compared to that movie.
Yeah, a hard miss. And it is reflected in that hard miss everywhere, Jim. This might be one of the lowest Rotten Tomatoes scores we've gotten to yet. 10% from the critics, which,
10%.
yeah, 10%. Hard down. But then I guess this lends, credence to the cult classic because on the audience side, 57%, which that is even though that's still on the low end, that's a stark contrast between the 10% critics to a 57% like audience.
Yeah, it feels like this movie would have like at least a halfway decent audience score though. Like, 'cause like critics, and I'm gonna say something that's gonna sound like I'm like judging people, but I promise I'm not. Like, critics never really like vibe with lowest common denominator type stuff, you know what I mean? Whereas like that's literally what audiences are all about, you know? Like,
Heard you say something so judgmental before in your life.
yeah, it's like, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Believe me, I'm in on a lot of the lowest common denominator
Yeah,
movies.
listen,
Like,
that was a huge part of it. They've listened to the episodes, Jim. That I'm a basic bitch, right? I am the lowest common denominator when it comes to movies sometimes.
yeah. So, like, it just makes sense to me that critics would hate this and audiences would be like, that was actually all right.
Well, thankfully, I'm siding with the critics on this one. A 4.1 from IMDb and a death sentence, a B minus from the cinema score.
B
Yeah,
minus.
B minus
Golly.
might be one of the lowest ones we've come across.
I think
Definitely.
so.
Yeah, I think.
I'm
Yeah, I
sure
think.
there's movies that have gotten C's before,
Yeah,
but
I just don't
really,
think
if you're
we
not getting an A minus, just you really need to evaluate.
evaluate yourself. Yeah. And then we got some user reviews here, Jim. And I thought if anything was going to bring the heat, it would be the Cat in the Hat. But there's a few of them, but honestly, nothing to the level of insane conspiracy theory people that we've been seeing. More just people questioning why. We have our first review here. He goes, "How do you answer this question? Uncle Cliff, why did the cat's hat go up when he looked at the picture? Yes. How do you explain why a cat got an erection when looking at a picture to a 5-year-old?" Great review. Great review.
Cliff, just really getting to the core issues here.
Cliff is like, ask your father.
That was like that one because I remember going into it this time when I watched it, being like, "Oh, like is it really as like adult as people say it is?" And that happens within the first like 30 seconds of him being in the house, and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty bad."
Yeah, right. Like that's his first joke out of the gate. It's like, my God, if that's the starter, like where are we going from here?
Yeah, and then like it's like maybe within like 3 minutes, and he's got like his ass hanging out because he's like the couch mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
yeah.
oh
Yeah,
boy.
a lot of things to explain to a child watching this movie. We got another
Good
person.
review though. That
Yeah,
was maybe the best one we've read yet.
yeah.
Short, sweet, and like it posed a really good question.
We have another short one here, from a person that might be the lowest common denominator person you were talking about because I don't think they understand the difference between studios. Because they write, "For 15 years, my wife and I have been taking our grandchildren to see Walt Disney movies. They have sometimes been great, other times just average, but they have always been enjoyable both for the children and for ourselves until now." That's the review.
Oh wow.
Lady,
This movie is not a
that,
Disney movie though.
yeah,
Isn't this
yeah,
Universal?
yeah. Lady, your record continues to be unblemished because this is, in fact, not a Disney movie.
Yeah.
But nice work.
Wow. Talk about great branding for Disney. They just have people convinced that anything that's like
Anything family
related to
friendly
children in movies is just a
has to be
Disney movie.
has to be Disney. They've cornered the hard market on children. We've we've marketed children so hard that if anyone thinks of kids, they think of Disney. Excellent work, sirs. And then we have this last one here. This person, Jim, this one is for you. They write, "Cinematic child abuse. Late November 2003, and all week long, the major media have been inundating us with endless updates and opinions regarding the scandal unfolding at the Neverland Ranch. Oddly enough, these same media outlets simultaneously continue to advertise and promote this cinematic sickener, The Cat in the Hat. I doubt any small child in my hometown will ever be asked to spend the night in bed with an aging pop star, but they are all free to troop down to the local movie theater where their hearts and minds are sure to be corrupted by this horrid travesty. Consider what those vile people in Hollywood have done here. They've taken a kindergarten storybook and pumped it full of scatological humor and sexual innuendo, hiding behind the fig leaf of a PG rating. They are peddling this smut to children under the age of 7. There was a time, not so very long ago, when a movie this vulgar could not have been released, not even for adult audiences. I never thought I'd say this, but maybe it's time for the American film industry to restore the production code."
Oh my God. Wow. That just like that feels like somebody like with an axe to grind. Like you know what I mean? Like
Can't think of
it's
two paragraphs that have ever sounded more insane to me.
well, a lot of what they're saying makes sense though. I mean, if albeit a bit dramatic, the fig leaf of a PG rating is like just chef's kiss.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a great analogy right
but
there.
but
Uh,
the thing that got me was like the ending where they just like it turns out to just be one big plea for the production code. It's like it feels like some executive from the 40s has been just like stewing around for the last 60 years.
he's like,
Like
the
I
Hays
tell you,
Code
they
was
let
great.
movies get out of control. We gotta go back to when I was keeping the gates. Like,
When we had the Hays Code, everything was hunky dory. Everything was peachy keen, and now look at all this smut. I again think of the Big Lebowski. It's like, what was that shit about the Neverland Ranch? Like, what
The
the far
Neverland Ranch
reach?
thing was wild. Because, like, at first I was like, wait, is this like a Michael Jackson fan who's like trying to like point at the double standard, you know?
Uh,
But the other thing that got me though was like that a movie like this couldn't be made even for adult audiences.
It's like what?
I mean, I know they were like referencing the production code, but it's like, what a silly thing to say. Like, you've been able to make movies like this for so
So
long,
long.
like before probably either of us were born, you know?
And I just love the fact that they doubt that any small child would have to spend the night with an aging pop star. Like you don't know what happens when they come to your town. They're coming for
Yeah.
the big world tour.
I mean, it's just I will say that like while I could see like some of the things that were like innuendo in the movie and they were a bit like weird, I never thought it quite reached the levels of Michael Jackson. Like I feel like his crimes were much more newsworthy than this stupid movie, you know?
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
allegedly,
Yeah, Jim,
allegedly.
allegedly. Go here. Come on.
If like, from what I've heard, some of the things that I've read, alleged, definitely worse than this movie.
We don't cast aspersions here. We simply just look at what people are talking about. And then we have a 10 star here. Um, this guy, this guy. They write, I would wager a bet that most of the parents who complained about this movie never bothered to give their children the book. Instead, they just take their brats to the multiplex and expect them to have the same experience as actually reading the children's book. No, this is a highly entertaining and humorous critique of modern American life. The characters of Mr. Humberflube and Quinn, along with the mom and the two wonderful child actors, do in fact present a satire of modern life. And no, the children in the original book were not as uptight and materialistic as those of 2003. So naturally, the cat had to be more sophisticated and edgy. Bottom line, this movie is a view of modern day life in uptight urban America. What the fuck? And unfortunately, it seems this excellent movie is a waste for them because they are simply too dumb to get it.
There we go.
There
There
we
we
go.
go.
He got there. They always, dude. It's like
It's
you can
it's
just
the
bet
people
on
who
so
don't
many things.
understand how good of a social commentary The Cat in the Hat is that are dumb. Definitely.
That's absolutely what it has to be. It couldn't be that just maybe this movie is stupid. No,
Yeah.
no, they're stupid. Am I the one who's out of touch? No, no, it's the children.
It's the children. Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like if you wanted to, you could say that literally any movie is a social commentary. Like,
Yeah, it's the same
it's
way
like
in which
that seems like more about what you were already thinking about when you went in to
yeah,
watch the movie
like
than anything the movie actually gave you.
yeah, like that all seems like stuff you were bringing into that, hoping to find in there. It's the same thing when they all peddle the like this movie's woke, this movie's not woke. It's like you're bringing that into it before you've even sat down to watch the movie.
Right, right.
Like
It's
we could
it's
say
like
this about
definitely in the same vein. Yeah,
every
definitely
single
in the same
movie.
vein.
And I love it that we always find it in our 10-star reviews is that like, no, no, you were just not smart enough to
I
understand.
yes, I love it's always that other people's opinions are just like
They're too
not even just
crude.
dog shit, but they're like objectively wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Like maybe if you went to school and studied a thing or two, you'd understand what they're trying to teach you here.
Yeah. The cat in the hat is too smart for you, is what that person is saying. Like, I think you might
Yeah.
be thinking of yourself as too smart for the cat in the hat, is where it like
A little
really
too a
resonates.
little too highbrow for some people. So now I'll turn it over to us, Jim. Does this movie hit that social commentary for you, or is it dog shit?
No, it definitely does not hit any kind of social commentary for me. It's like one of the dumbest things I've ever heard anybody
Like
say.
what? Like a critique of uptight suburban America? Like what are you like? What? This is 2003. What are you even saying?
Yeah, I mean, and it's like what the movie is about the two kids. It's not about any of the adults. Like,
Yeah.
like like it's a movie about two kids learning to have fun, and one of them needs to learn how to do it like within some parameters and without like ruining everything. And the other one just needs to learn how to do it in general. Like it's like that's what the movie's about. Um it's definitely not about Mr. Humberfloop or whatever, like whatever the adults are doing. That's like you were thinking way too much about that stuff.
It's like such a
Um
small, minute thing.
Yeah. And so like I don't know, like I guess like all that stuff is cool, you know? Like the stuff with the kids. It's at least a movie, but it's hard for me to get past the cat really. Like just like the way the cat looks is so unsettling and the way
Yeah.
like everything about it just gives me the creepy jeepies. Like and
It's
like
and I
I'm thinking that like the whole time. Like it's like I never get away from feeling like that.
Yeah, and I feel like they learned the wrong lesson from the Grinch because having it like in the Grinch, that makeup works to its advantage because you want him to feel kind of creepy and you're kind of like against him when you meet the Grinch in the at the beginning, and then you're going to slowly warm up to him. So it works there, but it doesn't work here because the Cat in the Hat, always from the book and everything, is supposed to be like your lovable friend. Like he shows up and takes you under his wing. And from the get-go, you're like, this is the most horrific thing I've ever had to look at
Yeah.
and I want it gone.
I'll tell you why I think it works for the Grinch. Aside from the fact that it's not even that the Grinch is just like spooky looking, like he at least is like I can look at him without feeling gross. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how else to explain it other than that. Like there's just something so uncanny about Mike Myers as that cat that is just unsettling. It's uneasing, you know?
Yeah.
So, but aside from that, I think it works in the Grinch because the Grinch is like relatable. You know what I mean? Like he's like a human being that we recognize, you know? Like he like is really just kind of lonely at the end of the day and like has an axe to grind. And so he's a little bit of a curmudgeon, you know? Like you can like those people, we see those people all the time, you know?
You can
Whereas the cat,
empathize
like,
with the Grinch.
what's that?
You can empathize with the Grinch.
Yes, right. Whereas the cat is just like it's not human at all. Like there's no emotions for you to latch onto. There's nothing where you say, "Oh, I can understand that thing." He's just like random and wacky like the whole time.
He's just
So like I don't
chaos
think that
incarnate.
helps either. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it also works with the Grinch that it's like the thematic element of the movie and the catharsis is centered around that character.
Right,
Whereas
he's
in
the
this movie,
protagonist.
yeah,
Yeah.
this movie, the cat is just like an instrument of destruction in a sense. So there's like he's just so random and you can't like I think the bigger issue with this is that even at a base level of like what you said with the kids where, one's learning to, have some fun within the parameters and the other's learning to have fun at all. That like where is the plot from that? Like the problem is that there's such a like thin strand of plot from this. Like the plot is like those are the two things they need to learn. The cat shows up. The cat just says a lot of really inane and like disgusting things. Then
Yeah,
has
he
a
does a bunch
box.
of like silly
Yeah,
skits.
yeah. Then he has a box that he tells one of them not to open. Then they have to go get the dog. Then they come back. The box is open, and the things clean it. Like it's not even like the kids have any impetus in changing that fact. They just like hang out with the cat for 70 minutes, and they're like, "Hey, we know how to have fun now."
Yeah, and like the cat doesn't really like do anything either. Like like neither one and we talk about this a bunch where like it's just like if this is the story of the movie, this is what has to happen at the end. And like whether you do the legwork through the middle of the movie to get there or not, it has to happen at the end because that's just what this movie is. And it's like this movie doesn't feel like it does any of the legwork. There's never a point where I feel like anybody's like working toward that goal or getting over obstacles to get to that goal. Like there's obstacles, yeah, but none of them really feel all that relevant. And
None
then
of them,
like at the
and
end they're just like, "Hey, we learned a lot." You know, and
but
it's
it's
like, "Oh,
like,
did we though? I
yeah,
don't know
did
that
you?
we
What did
did."
you learn? Like fucking Conrad didn't learn dick throughout this movie, and then suddenly he's just like, I know how to have fun within the parameters that my mom sets. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you
and
didn't?
like
What did you do any of that, bro?
there's a version of this movie where I'm like at least interested in the cat where I'm like, oh, is the cat trying to like teach them something? You know what I mean? Like where you can like at least like hint toward that and maybe play a little bit of like walk the line of, is he teaching them something? Is he a chaos agent? Like, show them learning small lessons along the way, you know? Like, so I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, the cat actually is teaching him something. Maybe I should just like wait and see here, you know? But like, no, again, none of that happens. Like, the cat's just like, hey, let's bake cupcakes. And then like, it's like a
Like
stupid infomercial.
for that, I think that's the big crux of the issue here is that because for this movie, the that plot with the cat are in against polar opposites of each other because within this version of this movie that we're talking about here where these kids need to learn like one has to learn structure, one has to learn how to let loose a little bit, and we're talking about the cat being kind of an agent of chaos that's going to teach them that stuff. In that regard, the cat has to be the villain of the movie, but he's not. Like they
Yeah,
have
I
to
mean,
toe a line where it's like the cat needs to be like pushing and prodding, and like Conrad slowly getting to the point where he's like, "No, dude, like you got to cut this shit out, man." Like, and Conrad sees himself in the cat and realizes how much of a dick he is to his mom. But they don't let the cat do that. The cat just they're like, "No, no, no. Actually, Alec Baldwin's the bad guy, and we're just
yeah,
gonna do
yeah.
some gloop shit to him."
Alec Baldwin, by the way, he steals this movie.
Well, like
It's
it
so
always helps
good.
for them when they absolutely know what they're doing. Like they know what movie they're in, and they're like, "I'm just gonna mean mug the shit out of this."
Yeah, I knew. I mean, like, it's just so funny to me the way he's all put together, and then they cut to him at his house, and his like gut is like hanging out of his wife beater, and like he's
They
just
come
like,
and repossess his TV.
right, he's just like a total disaster, like waiting to happen if he gets into this family. Like,
Uh, and
and I
and
love like how he just like falls off that cliff at the one part.
yeah, it's so stupid.
But no, you're right. Yeah. And like even the villain just feels like very tacked on. I don't know. Like he doesn't really have much to do with like what they're doing during the day.
Because like it also like whatever he is going to do, like the opposition of each other isn't really. It's like, oh, we got to get the dog before he does. Like it's like,
Yeah, it doesn't
wow,
really make
big
a lot of
big
sense.
crux of the movie here, guys. Like we're really
So
bringing it in.
I don't know, not to be too much like the 1 star people or the 10 star people. Like I feel like we're really digging in on this. But like yeah, it's like none of that stuff really works, right? And then like the skits, some of them like get like a chuckle out of me. Some of them are just kind of stupid and I kind of can't wait for them to be over. Um like I don't know. I stand by the whole RuPaul's Drag Race thing. I stand by like when he's doing like
There's a
he's got
song
like
and
the conga
dance.
outfit with
Yeah,
like the fruit all on it like on
yeah.
his dress, or when he's doing the infomercial, like it's all like very like showy and weird, which sometimes is fun and sometimes I'm kind of just like all right. And I think again like it was a lot more tiresome on the second watch in the last 6 months than it was on the first.
And yeah, I think there are moments where him doing that kind of skit does work because I do think that he should be kind of like an agent of chaos in this movie. Like he's there to like kind of teach them the lessons of being respectful in the house and knowing how to let loose and when it's time to taper off. So some of those work for me. And there are moments of like zaniness in this that I see the Seinfeld guys like really shining that crack me up. Like the I do even though they are like horrifically innuendos for young kids. I died when he looked at the picture and it unfolded like a Playboy centerfold and his hat like grows like
I
that.
forgot that he did it like a centerfold
Yeah,
too.
it pulls
What
out
a
like a
silly
centerfold
thing.
and is like, oh my God, like that. I died. And then even when he cuts his tail off in the infomercial and then it cuts to like him with his like three lawyers behind him, like that got me too.
Yeah, and he goes, look, I'm not saying we're gonna sue.
Gonna
I'm just
sue,
saying
yeah.
we've got a case.
Say we've got a case, like stuff like that, like definitely lands. It's just there's so much
Does it
not
though?
funniness and tiredness like around them that it follows what so many mediocre movies that we've done has. It has moments that will make me laugh, but as a whole, the movie is just chaotically horrible.
Yeah, and like it's soulless compared to the Grinch. That's the way I can
Exactly.
put
Yeah,
it. Like
exactly. Like there's no heart in this movie whatsoever.
right. It
Yeah.
feels like very like cardboard cutout as opposed to like people with like depth and things that I care about, you know?
I can absolutely see why the widow of Dr. Seuss would be like, absolutely fucking not. Am I letting any of you guys ever touch any of these again?
Yeah, dude, he's literally looking like at a Playboy in the middle of the
Yeah.
living room,
Yeah. And
which
it's like,
like
it's an
would be
interesting,
weird in its own right in a kids movie, but the fact
yeah.
that it's about a movie like with two kids who are basically home alone with this like
Yeah.
weird guy that looks like a cat,
Yeah.
like it's just
Yeah.
got like a layer to it where I'm just like, I don't know, this is so much weirder because of
Yeah.
this movie because it's happening in this scenario.
Yeah. It's absolutely bizarre. And it's interesting. I would be curious to know because obviously they go the live action route with the Grinch and it's very successful. So I could see why they take this route. But I'm wondering if they ever considered even back then around 2000 just doing animated versions of these, like
I
feature length
even
animated versions, and working with the studio to do like a full length. Because yeah, you have the Grinch
specifically,
cartoon back in the day, but that one's like
yeah,
15 minutes. So it's interesting that they weren't like if we do a Cat in the Hat movie, maybe we should do an animated Cat in the Hat movie. I don't know if this anthropomorphic shit's going to work for every single Dr. Seuss property.
yeah, I just like it's so creepy that I can't understand how nobody, again, like nobody saw like
Makeup test.
concept art or like, like a picture of what it would look like. Because I think they're doing a lot of makeup, right? It's mostly makeup that's going
Yeah.
on. Like
Yeah.
nobody was like, all right, let's like put him in the makeup and see what it looks like. And at no point during any of that were people like, I don't think we should do this. Like
They
this
were all
is just so
just signed
creepy,
off
so
on it.
weird.
They took
It's
one look at him in the mirror with the makeup on, and they were like, "Yeah, we got this."
Yeah, like why? I guess what I'm trying to say is it blows my mind if they didn't actually make an animated movie instead of doing this
Instead of
after they
doing
saw
this,
that
yeah,
stuff.
because you
And I
see
mean,
that
they
it's
do eventually go
happening.
on to make an animated Grinch movie. And
Yeah,
this
they do
isn't
that
actually the
again.
last Dr. Seuss movie.
Well,
Like,
it's
don't
the
they make like
last
the Lorax?
the last live action. It's the last time they let them do a live action. Because now going
Right,
forward, you see that they do the animated route. Because you get the Horton Hears a Who.
right.
You get the Lorax, like you said. You get another Grinch movie, and now I'm pretty sure. And I was doing research into this that they're working on doing an animated Cat in the Hat movie, which seems like such a smarter move for
Yeah,
this
it
than
seems
doing
way
what they
better.
did here.
It
Like
seems
this
way
is
better.
yeah, this seemed like such a horrific thing. And it is like you said, like I just these it's watching movies like this where I sit back and I just question like thousands of people work on this stuff. And at
Yeah.
no point did anyone sit there and be like, what are we doing? Like maybe we should probably not do this.
Yeah, somewhere before you get up to 109 million, there just
Oh,
seemed like there was
like
a few places where
yeah,
you could have paused and been like, I don't know, maybe not.
maybe we should. Especially
Like,
because you do so much pre-production work for movies. Like there's probably so many instances where you could have taken a step back and been like, maybe this isn't it, guys. Like
yeah,
maybe
and
Grinch was
like
lightning in a bottle and we don't try and do that again.
it blows my mind too, like how if you're gonna spend 109 million dollars on a movie like this, that you wouldn't get the script to a much better place than it was. Because again, like a lot of the problems is it's like lacking any kind
Right.
of
There's no depth.
human story at the heart of it that like pulls me in and progresses,
It reminds me
Like,
a lot of like the later spoof movies, like Date Movie and Epic Movie, where it's just skits and references with
right.
no discernible depth to it. Like I think of the scene where they're riding in the log, like when they're back in the house, and it just pauses and he just like shouts out Universal Studios, Orlando, Florida. Like it's just like, dude, this is just a commercial to sell shit. Like that's all
Yeah.
this movie is.
Right. And like I get that sometimes that can be tongue in cheek and come across as funny, but again, like it would be fine if it was in an actual movie that I cared about and enjoyed. I
And I think
wouldn't think twice about it.
yeah, the funnier thing to that makes this just feel like it's one big commercial for product placement and like their studio park is it just clashes with the Grinch that they made, which is such like a satirical look at like consumerism in the form of like Christmas and everything. Like
Yeah.
they're like they do that very well in the Grinch. And then for this, they were like, no, let's just be that. Like, you know that thing we were making fun of? Like,
Yeah.
let's just be that now.
Right, right.
And it's insane. It's absolutely insane, and I can only hope that people got fired for this, like high level executives, not the people who made this. Like, you're doing the best you can. High level executives who like signed off on this, like they better have lost their jobs.
I mean, I can tell you one guy who definitely doesn't work that much after
or
this movie.
or Bo Welch.
Yeah, poor
Yeah,
director Bo Welch,
Bo
man.
Welch. The axe had to fall on somebody, and it fell on poor Bo. And
Yeah,
I don't know that I have much more else to say about this movie other than I hated it with every fiber of my being.
yeah. I don't have anything else to say. I do want to dive into Bo Welch's IMDb here really fast because it'll be
Yeah,
quick.
let's hear him. Let's poor
He has
Bo.
a lot of like production design and art director kind of stuff, but as a director, he only has 4 credits.
Ooh, they only let him direct
Um,
4.
this is the only feature film that he ever directs.
Oh,
This is it.
really?
This is
Oh,
the only one.
Jesus.
It's
Poor
one and done. So like you were saying, somebody got the axe for it. I don't know if it was the right person, but
guy.
he directs 2 episodes of a show called Secret Agent Man from 1998 to 2000. He directs 2 episodes of the live action version of The Tick.
Oh, is that with Patrick Warburton?
Yeah,
Right? Is that
Patrick
show?
Warburton.
Yeah. Dude, what a show.
And then he directs this movie in 2003, and then there is a
Poor
huge
bastard.
gap. It's not until the Series of Unfortunate Events TV show.
Oh, he got to direct some episodes of that?
Yeah, he directed 5 episodes of that, which is a really
Interesting.
good show, by the way.
I've never watched it.
It's worth it. You should check it out. Neil
It's
Patrick
Neil
Harris
Patrick
is,
Harris, right? Yeah.
yeah, he's really funny as Olaf.
Maybe I'll get
And it's interesting the way it's set up. It's basically like a bunch of like everything is 2-part episodes.
Okay.
And they're like it's the kids just end up in it really is a series of unfortunate events. It really is.
Aptly
The name is like
named.
right on the nose. They killed it.
Very aptly named.
And then let's take a look at some awards really fast.
Dear God. I can only imagine. If this like won Teen Choice Awards, I swear to God.
No, I don't think it did.
Swear to
It gets
fucking
one of
God.
those stupid BMI Film and TV awards for the
I
music, which
I don't
is
want to
like
hear that
I still
award.
don't really
I
understand
don't
what those
understand.
are.
Yeah.
It gets some nominations at the Hollywood Makeup Artist and Hairstylist Guild Awards, which okay, fair
Like,
enough.
all right, fair enough.
I mean, I'm
like,
sure a lot of work went into
went
doing
into
that
that, yeah.
makeup,
And the
even if
people,
it is
it
the
might
stuff
look
of
ghastly.
nightmares.
Yeah, it might look ghastly, but the people that worked on it, you could tell they worked hard, tirelessly.
So, it is nominated for one single Teen Choice Award. It's actually one of our favorite categories.
Okay.
Do you want to take a stab in the dark?
Teen Choice Award, one of our favorite categories. Oh my God.
It's one of the sillier ones.
Dude, what could it be? I don't know. I can't think of it. What is it?
It nabs a nomination for Choice Movie Hissy Fit,
Oh, the hissy fit.
which is for the boss from from the beginning.
Sean
He's, like,
Hayes.
firing people.
You're fired.
Yeah. So
What a fucking annoying thing.
It eventually loses to anger management, and then like this is really where most of its nominations are from, is for like bad things.
It's
So
good. Good.
the Dallas Fort Worth Film Critics Association Awards.
That sounds like a thing.
I mean, it must be, right? It's nominated for worst film,
Good.
which it's interesting because this seems like a legit like movie award. Like there's like it's giving out like awards to actors, it's giving out like a best screenplay award, best
Really?
picture. It's like
Oh my God.
it's like playing it straight, and then it has a worst film category.
Amazing. Amazing. They're like, we're giving out the best of the best, and then we're gonna shit people that didn't come up to par.
Yeah, which Cat in the Hat wins, actually. It
Good.
beats out the likes of Gigli, from Justin to Kelly, Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, and Boat Trip, which that's
I can only
actually a
imagine.
pretty
Yeah.
good.
That's a good.
pretty
That's a good.
five.
That's good. And I'm sure Cat in the Hat absolutely earns that win.
Yeah. It's gonna be nominated for a bunch of Razzie Awards.
Yeah, it's fucking
Uh,
good.
some of them are actually pretty interesting. So
Here we go.
this, the Razzies are really great. So it's nominated for basically the worst versions of every good award you can think of. It's nominated for the Razzie for worst screenplay, worst screen couple for Mike Myers, and either thing one or thing two.
Oh my god! Like, take your pick. It was all terrible.
Which I guess it's because it's named worst screen couple. They couldn't just be like thing one and thing two.
Yeah, because then
Um,
that's a throuple then.
Kelly Preston gets nominated for worst supporting actress.
Oh, poor Kelly.
Alec Baldwin gets nominated for worst supporting actor.
Amazing.
Mike Myers gets nominated for worst actor.
Good. All perfectly.
Bo Welch gets nominated for worst director.
Poor Bo.
And then it also gets nominated for worst picture. But this is the one that really is close to my heart. Worst excuse for an actual movie.
Yep, dude. That's the award right there.
Which,
One
and
of
in
the other
parentheses, it says basically what we were talking about, where it's all concept, no content. Like,
all style, no substance.
and it wins that award at the
Yeah,
Razzies.
it would have to. Like, there is nothing else I feel like that could take it. Like, what else was nominated?
Too Fast, Too Furious,
Absolutely not. Get that out of there. Like, that is
Charlie's
not.
Angels, Full Throttle.
That could be there.
From Justin to Kelly feels like a pretty good contender.
Yeah,
And
that
then
could
I
be
never
there.
heard of this, The Real Cancun. I don't know what that is.
No, yeah, that's all seem like worthy movies to be on there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess The Real Cancun would make sense that it's all concept, because I'm assuming it's just like people on spring break or something.
Sounds like it. Yeah, like I can't imagine what it could possibly be.
But then it's also nominated here for a couple of like non 2004 Razzies. They're kind of like longer term ones. So Mike Myers gets nominated in 2010 for Worst Actor of the Decade.
Oh, man. Dude, that's got to be a kick in the teeth right there.
Yeah, and like so he was the winner of two Razzies, which I guess hurt his or helped his Worst Actor of the Decade nod. And then it says here that it's shared with The Love Guru, so they really hated this movie in The Love
So
Guru.
that's a twofer right there for him.
And then in 2005, it got nominated for Worst Comedy of Our First 25 Years, which I'm guessing means the first 25 years of the Razzies.
That's so funny.
Up against Freddy Got Fingered, The Adventures of Pluto Nash,
Oh my god.
Gigli, and then Leonard Part 6. I don't know what that is. I've
Never heard of that one. Dude.
Oh, it's a Bill Cosby movie.
Oh, all
From
right.
1987. It must be so bad that it survived this long to be on
This
the
long.
list.
Dude, that is atrocious.
And then I mean, those are really the awards worth talking about. Those are all the Razzies, and then it's basically like the Stinker Bad Movie Awards nominates it for all the same stuff.
Can't think of a more deserving movie.
Actually, hold
What?
on.
What do you
I
got?
have I have another gret category here. Just
Okay.
absolutely great. I'm assuming this is a stand-in for worst director,
Okay.
but it's the Stinker's Bad Movie Award nominates Bo Welch for Worst Sense of Direction, parentheses, stop them before they direct again. Don't worry, Stinker's Bad Movie Awards. Hollywood's way ahead of you.
Jesus. That's I can only imagine like putting your all into a movie and like it just doesn't work, and then all of a sudden the Razzies come out and they're like, "Yeah, stop this director before he can make it again." You're just getting kicked in the nuts like repeatedly.
I just think it's so funny that they like I could see where if you were gonna make a award show for bad things, but it's just like what a silly way to give an award out. Like why don't you just call it worst director? I don't get
All
it.
right. Like you just gotta like take pot shots at the guy too. Like you're like I think he's suffering enough.
Yeah, and then the guy who wins, Hollywood did not agree whatsoever. McG won for Charlie's Angels Full
Oh,
Throttle.
well, yeah,
That guy's
McG.
never going anywhere.
They
He's
gave
like mold.
McG many at bats.
He's like, in just a couple of years, he's gonna get the fourth Terminator movie, guys.
That guy's on the up and up.
Yeah.
My God, that's so.
But yeah, no, that's all. I think that's all of the
That's
really like
that's.
interesting stuff. Just
Well,
like the director gets totally shut out
yeah,
after this movie, never makes another feature film again, one and done. And
poor guy,
then some good awards there. Nothing really else to latch onto, I don't think.
poor guy. But you made a turd. One quick addendum before we move on to our star ratings here, Jim. I'm just seeing this now. I don't know how I missed this before, but that 109 million budget that this movie spent.
Yeah,
Uh, I've been tracking the biggest budgets of all time that we've done so far on this list, and that 109 million is good enough to put the Cat in the Hat in the top 15. They spent more money on the Cat in the Hat than two very notable movies. They spent more money than Gladiator, which only spent 103 million, and they spent more than Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which cost only 100 million.
yeah. And I just talk about
To
getting a
really,
lot more for your
yeah,
money.
to really put that into some context, the fantastical world of Harry Potter, not nearly as fantastical as dressing up Mike Myers as the Cat in the Hat,
Yeah,
apparently.
I mean, they needed to film that like on location in a castle. Like that's why that took a lot. Why did this movie cost 109 million exactly?
I don't know. I would love to take a look at the books, Universal. If you could send those out to us, we can go back to 2003, take a look. We'd appreciate it. But now we turn our attention over to our star ratings. I know for a fact that you are not going to play the Roger Ebert drop. So instead, I'll just turn it over to you and ask what you thought Roger Ebert gave Cat in the Hat.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got to talk about what Ebert gave it. I think that Raj, as usual, is gonna find a way to sum this up in like two sentences that does everything we were saying, and I think he's gonna hate this movie's guts and give it a 0.
Oh, you would be wrong. Raj gave this an interesting 2 out of 4.
Oh,
Yeah. He praised the production design, but he said it's all effects and stunts and CGI and prosthetics with no room for lightness and joy.
wow. Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
It,
That's actually a really good point.
that all tracks, but I still don't know how you get a 2 out of 4 out of that.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know.
So I'll turn it over to you, Jim. Do
He really
you
liked the
echo
production design, I
you
guess.
echo those sentiments? What's your final rating for the Cat in the Hat?
I feel like I'm being too hard on it, and again, I think it's because I
And I
saw it
don't think
like
you're being hard
twice.
enough.
I think it's because I saw it twice, because I did kind of like it when I watched it a few months ago. So like I'm gonna give it a 1.5, but I think I'm being a little tough on it. It's the kind of movie where feel like if I watched it every 5 years, I might give it like a 3, but
He's just,
I didn't like
I
it
think
this
the
time.
1.5 is being more than generous. I'm gonna go with a oneer right there, right underneath you, Jim. It has moments that made me chuckle, but as a whole, this movie ain't it. It's absolutely soulless, and I can't think of a more deserving movie that should hold the title of cash grab than this movie.
Yeah,
So
that's
with
fair. That's
yeah, so
fair.
with your 1.5 and my 1 is going to give us an overall score of a 2.5 here. And we're going to do battle here with some shitty movies. I know what, and we're gonna have a stalemate right here off the first one because I know what you're gonna pick. Do you take the Cat in the Hat or do you take American Wedding?
Uh, the Cat in the Hat.
Fucking knew you were
Easy.
gonna say that. Absolutely
Easy. It's
not.
not even
That's
close.
not. That's it is easy, but it's not the Cat in the Hat.
Dude, there's no way. I would rather tear my eyes out of my head than
You're
watch American
you're
Wedding every
sounding
time.
like a 1-star reviewer right now.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I would rather. It's the truth. It's the truth.
All
So
right,
like
so
like Cat in the Hat, I can see myself watching again and probably will at some point, if not sometime soon. American Wedding, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life trying to forget that it exists.
I mean, I wouldn't want to watch either of these movies ever again. But if somebody was gonna like hold me down at gunpoint and be like, you have to suffer through one of these, I would easily rather suffer through American Wedding than suffer through Cat in the Hat.
Dude, that's so crazy to me.
You're crazy to me.
That's so crazy.
Sin.
Because Ebert's hitting on something. Like, people put effort into this movie, even if it didn't turn out great. Like, the production design is crazy good. Like, the makeup, while nightmarish, is like, like you can
Jim,
sense some craft
don't
in it.
don't just start hiding
American Wedding
behind
is
your
just like, is such a cash grab. It's just like,
your
hey, people will see this if we make it, right? It doesn't matter what we do after that.
your revisionist history to stand behind Roger Ebert right now for Cat in the Hat. You spent how long on the nightmarish detail of Cat in the Hat, and now you're like, well, he's got some credit to him.
No, I mean it. Like, I didn't like it and it was still bad, but I could see where it was high effort. Whereas there's literally not a single thing high effort about American Wedding.
You're saying right now. All right, we're stalemating hard here.
Was there any other 2.5s that we got to throw in the mix, or is it just those two?
We're two higher above it. And I don't. I mean, oh my God, all of these 2.5s are brutal. I
I
wouldn't want
mean,
to
I
watch a
just want to
single one.
see. I'm putting it ahead of American Wedding, so I want to see where I land.
All right. So the next one after that would have been Dumb and Dumber.
Oh man, dude, come on. This is so hard. Am
It's
I
not
gonna
hard.
pick?
None of this is hard. All of these are horrible.
I'm. I think I'm taking the Cat in the Hat, dude.
Dude, I know you. You're gonna fucking ride it all the way up to the top because you're out of your mind. Your next one after that would be Eight Crazy Nights, and that's the top of the 2.5s.
Yeah, I'm dude. Cat in the Hat is king of the 2.5s as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's just categorically wrong.
No, now you're sounding like a 10-star review.
Everyone has their moments, so they sink in.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate all of those 2.5ers, so
Look,
that's all.
just
That's all. That's
because
all I have to
you're
say.
falling for the conspiracy and you like all movies with American in the title, all right? Just that doesn't mean
Is that a conspiracy?
I'm really tapping into my inner one-star reviewer, bro.
You're gonna start pushing that conspiracy. Yeah, all these Americans only like their movies with American in the title.
Yeah, because that's really the key. You just have to like make up a crazy thing that's not true and then act like it's 100% true. That's like the key to all conspiracy theories, man.
Enough people will buy it sooner or later. They're like, yeah, why can't we have enough of these American movies? The good old fashioned American movies right there in the title, damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
God. Now we don't have a guest for next week because it's actually rounding out to your pick again. So, have you narrowed it down to what you are throwing at us this week?
Yeah, there was a lot of winners in there.
I was gonna
Like
say we
League of
had
Extraordinary
a
Gentlemen,
lot of
Bad
weeks.
Boys 2 was around, the second Tomb Raider movie, Bad Santa was mixed in there. There was a lot of things that I really like that I could have picked. And what I ended up going with at the end of the day was a movie that I haven't seen in a while, and I remember thinking was very silly even back then. And I'm very interested to see how it holds up. I'm gonna pick SWAT.
Oh, dude, I haven't watched that movie in a long time too. And
Yeah, the
I
Jeremy Renner vehicle. No, it's really a Colin Farrell vehicle,
was
right?
gonna say it's like probably one of Jeremy Renner's like first movies, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Renner plays the villain, dude.
Was he really? Dude, that would
I
be
think
great.
so, yeah.
That see now that's a worthy movie now to go back and watch because now that Jeremy Renner is like a huge star, like I would love to see him like cutting his teeth in an early role.
Yeah, it's just I remember the premise of it, and I'm so excited to go back and watch it. Like,
I
not
remember
unlike our
nothing.
conspiracy theory thing, the movie just decides that SWAT police officers are like the pinnacle of tactics and strategy. Like, they can do whatever they wanted, you know? Like, so one of them I think goes rogue, and then the other one has to respond like as a SWAT agent.
Oh, I'm already 1,000 times in, Jim. Like
Yeah,
I'm so glad you've picked this
I'm
movie.
pretty sure that's like the gist of it.
I'm fully in. The only thing I remember of this movie is that Colin Farrell and Samuel L. Jackson are in it. That's literally all I could tell you.
Yeah, dude. LAPD SWAT.
So I'm fully ready to dive in. That sounds amazing.
We're just lucky that LAPD SWAT doesn't rob more banks, okay? The world would be chaos.
Don't know what we do. Do you have a recommendation for the people this week?
I watched I watched all three Santa Claus movies.
Boy. Oh
I
boy.
don't know, recommendation is a strong word, but they did also feature Spencer Breslin in all of his glory.
Was he in all three of them?
No, he wasn't in the first one.
Oh, he wasn't in
There's
the
like
first one.
there's a big gap. Like the first one came out in I think like 94,
Okay.
and then the second one isn't until like 2003. So I think Spencer Breslin was
Jeez.
probably too young to really be in the first one.
First one. Interesting. Who does he play? Because he's not playing his son anymore, is he?
No, he's not playing his son. He plays Curtis. He plays like the one of the elves.
Well, you say Curtis like I'm. Oh yeah, of course, dude. He plays
Yeah.
Curtis. Like absolutely.
Dude, you're not caught up on your Santa Claus lore? What's your problem?
No, yeah, I got a deep deficit in my Santa Claus lore in my brain.
Yeah. No, his first movie is The Mrs. Claus.
My God.
And I gotta say, Santa Claus 3 was not good, but like at the center of it was this idea, like this premise that he lives in the North Pole, right? Because he's Santa, and he has Mrs. Claus now because he did the Mrs. Claus in the second movie. And like her parents haven't seen them in a long time, so they come to town to visit for Christmas, and he has to try and convince them that it's Canada. It's so stupid.
Like,
Like, they're
man.
like, why are all these like short people? Like, why is Canada filled with short people? Because it's all the elves, and he's just like, you ever been to Canada? That's just what Canadians look like.
Oh my God.
It's so bad. It's so stupid.
What a movie. Please God, no. I'll not be watching that.
What
Maybe
about
the
you?
maybe
Anything
the first one.
new to report?
I also use recommendation very liberally here, because I haven't been watching good movies. I've been watching movies, but they have been wildly disappointing to me. And I guess I'll start my the disappointing movie I would just watched last night, Craven the Hunter.
Oh, you don't say. Aaron
Yeah,
Taylor
that was
Johnson was the star of a not so good bomb again? No
yeah.
way.
And I knew going into it that it was going to be bad. And that was part of the charm of why I wanted to go see it, because when the reviews came out and they were like horrifically bad, that just made me
It
want to
was,
watch it more.
dude, it was so bad that Sony is talking about just selling Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
like, we're never gonna get what we were thinking we were gonna get out of this. Let's just sell it to Disney.
So bad. So naturally I had to go see it. And however bad in your head you could picture this movie being, amplify it by 30-fold. Like,
Dude, I want to go see it
and
so
that's
bad.
how bad Craven the Hunter really. And it's not even like so bad it's entertaining. It's just torturous.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
I
you're like
bet.
constantly like, please just please stop. Please be over.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a quick this or that, just to put into perspective here.
Okay. Are you gonna give me
Craven the Hunter
all
or
the side spin-offs
ISS?
or ISS on which is worse?
Yeah, like which one? Because like when you all the adjectives you were just describing, the first movie that came to mind that I saw last year was ISS.
Which Craven is way worse.
Wow,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, way worse.
Dang.
Yeah, dude, it's torturous. Russell Crowe's hilarious Russian accent, Aaron Taylor Johnson's hard wooden performance. It's rough. It's rough.
Dang. Okay.
So
Well,
that's my
speaking of
that's my
superhero
recommendation.
fare, there's one thing that came out today. I'm interested to see if you saw it already.
Superman trailer.
Yeah, the Superman trailer. What'd you think?
It looks fine.
I'm in. I'm into it.
We'll see once I get like an actual trailer with people saying words and I get a sense of the plot. But yeah,
What do
like
you mean? You didn't see that part when
it
the
looks
guy
good. Well, he
hits
just says,
Superman with a can and he's like, "You stink."
yeah,
I
like
don't
that's
think
a
he
line.
actually says "you stink," but he says something like that.
Or like he just looks at Crypto and he's just like, Crypto, take me home. It's like, all right. I mean, it looks
Yeah.
good. It looks James Gunn makes great movies. So,
It looked bright, which was interesting.
which I
Like,
think goes hand in hand with how like Superman should be
yeah, right.
portrayed, I guess, because he's like the all-American American that's not from America.
Right. That was always my biggest issue with the Zack Snyder movies.
This just
Was
looks
like,
so dark.
yeah, everything looks so dreary. Which, like, I know he didn't. I don't think he directed Wonder Woman, but he was still like in charge of DC as a whole at that point.
Yeah.
Like when you're in like the trenches in World War One, like okay, yeah, like it could look dreary. That's cool. That's what it's supposed to look dreary. But it was just every scene is like doused in like dark colors and like
Oh,
monochrome. I just like,
yeah.
ugh, it's the
Every
worst.
scene it just looks overcast, like it's about to rain, and it's like, dude, like, come on, it's not
Yeah.
that dreary out. Like,
So, I mean, I know, like, I know people have said that that's what James Gunn was gonna do, but it looked cool. I liked the old school suit, like,
oh, no, no,
and then
I'm,
the music was like so sick.
yeah,
The Superman music, the John Williams Superman music.
I've never been a big Superman fan, but I'm a big James Gunn fan. So I can see a world where I like this movie a lot because James Gunn makes movies that I like a lot.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
it's interesting
so
too.
I'm
It
for it.
feels like it's gonna be like the Batman versus Superman that I really wanted, which is like everybody hates Superman, and he's gonna have to win him back by just being like the best dude.
Just
You
being
know
the
what I mean?
all-American
Like,
American that's not from
right, like
America.
that's the movie I want to see. Like where it's just gonna like Superman's almost like Ted Lasso, like where just like he cannot be denied, you know, like his personality and his like
He's too
awesomeness
strong.
is gonna shine through.
He's too good.
And one day you will admit it, whether you like it or not. You know, like that's the movie I want to see.
Well,
So it looked like it could be that
yeah,
movie.
it looks like we might be getting it. So here's hoping. We'll see. We'll see come July. But now we turn it over to you people. Let us know down below your fever dream experience with Cat in the Hat if you're one of those cult classic fans out there. And until next time, see you at the movies.